What is happening right now beneath the waters of the Caribbean Sea could change the lives of millions of people in the coming years. Deep underwater, just a few dozen kilometers from densely populated islands, something strange is taking place. Scientists have recorded more than 200 earthquakes in this location over the past 5 years. 70 of them occurred in just the last week alone. But this is not yet a catastrophe. This is a warning. Seismologists have discovered previously unknown underwater faults. These faults could trigger an earthquake of magnitude 8. More than 100 million people live in the zone of potential danger. The eastern coast of the United States faces this threat. All the Caribbean islands face this threat. The coasts of Central and South America face this threat. All these territories are at risk not only from earthquakes, but also from a devastating tsunami. Such a tsunami could reach the shores in less than 20 minutes. The most alarming fact is this: the last major earthquake in this region occurred over 200 years ago. All the signs indicate that it could happen again very soon. What exactly is happening at the bottom of the Puerto Rican Trench, the deepest point in the Atlantic Ocean? Why do scientists compare this zone to the one that caused the catastrophic tsunami of 2004? And what forecasts are experts giving about the new faults they have discovered in this location? Right now, beneath the waters of the Caribbean Sea, something truly frightening is hidden. Deep on the ocean floor, north of Puerto Rico, lies a place where the Earth itself bends under the weight of its own forces. The trench drops more than 8 kilometers below the water's surface. This is the Puerto Rican Trench, the deepest point in the entire Atlantic Ocean. But it's not just about depth. This place turns out to be one of the most geologically unstable regions on the entire planet. Here, 2 giant tectonic plates converge, accumulating incredible energy. This hidden abyss could trigger a massive earthquake at any moment. The earthquake would be powerful enough to change the coastline. It could provoke a destructive tsunami. It could alter the lives of millions of people in a matter of minutes. And this won't only affect the Caribbean region. The climate of the entire planet will change. In early 2020, something happened that made the whole world pay attention to this region. A series of powerful earthquakes shook Puerto Rico. The strongest one, with a magnitude of 6.4, occurred on January 7th. The earthquakes damaged cities. The island plunged into a real humanitarian crisis. This revealed not only existing vulnerabilities, but also huge gaps in the readiness of the entire region for such catastrophes. But the earthquakes did not stop. In 2024 and 2025, the Puerto Rican Trench area experienced a whole series of significant seismic events. In May 2024, an earthquake with a magnitude of 5.6 occurred. People felt it in both Puerto Rico and neighboring islands. In early 2025, the magnitude reached 5.9. Then more tremors followed in May of this year and 2 earthquakes in the summer. And here's what should really alarm us. Geologists call these events not a catastrophe, but a warning. They believe this is just a prelude to something much more serious. Seismologists from the United States Geological Survey discovered several previously unknown underwater faults near the epicenters of all these earthquakes. These faults are located in the seafloor. They most likely became the cause of that series of tremors that began back in late 2019. The most surprising thing is this: specialists were shocked not so much by the strength of the earthquakes themselves, but by the location where they occurred. Puerto Rico is located on an active boundary between 2 enormous tectonic plates, the North American and the Caribbean. Historians and geophysicists examined the archives. They discovered that underground tremors in Puerto Rico were recorded as far back as the 15th century. But here's what's strange. Back then, most earthquakes occurred in the northern part of the island, not the southern part. Now the situation has changed. It is precisely these new faults that have become the main cause of tremors in the southern part of the region. One of the leading researchers stated directly, previously, there were suspicions that an entire system of faults was located near the southern coast, but there was no evidence. It appeared only after the seafloor was investigated in detail. And what they discovered there turned out to be much more serious than even the most pessimistic forecasts suggested. According to preliminary conclusions, in Guayanilla Bay alone, there is at least one major underwater fault. It may be a continuation of the fault that is already known on land, but that's not all. Specialists have identified two more major faults. These faults are located at depths of 7 and 15 kilometers from the coast. These faults are located in the very places that were previously identified as the epicenters of recent tremors. It turns out that an entire network of potentially dangerous structures is hidden underwater, structures we simply did not know about. Now let's look at what is actually happening in this part of the ocean. The Puerto Rican Trench was formed at the boundary of two lithospheric plates as a result of very complex tectonic movements. The North American plate is subducting beneath the Caribbean plate, creating incredible pressure. The depths here exceed 8,300 meters at the deepest point, which is called Milwaukee Deep. But unlike typical subduction zones, the Puerto Rico Trench undergoes what is called oblique subduction, combined with strike-slip motion. Simply put, one plate is slowly pressing under the other. At the same time, both are also sliding past each other. Beneath the trench, the Caribbean plate is moving eastward. This allows the North American plate to tilt, creating a completely unique tectonic dynamic. It is precisely this oblique subduction zone that contributes to the high seismic hazard of the region. The constant friction between the plates leads to frequent earthquakes. The geological landscape literally screams about the ongoing movements that reflect constant tectonic forces. The steepness of the subduction zone itself and the numerous active fault lines further increase the probability of strong earthquakes and tsunamis. That strange things are happening in the Earth's crust here is also shown by other recently discovered facts. You may have seen videos online about a gravitational anomaly near Puerto Rico. If you drop some object there, it will fall slightly faster than anywhere else on the planet. The gravity in this location is minus 380 milligauss. This makes it the largest negative gravitational anomaly on the entire Earth. In 1977, geophysicist Peter Molnar made an important discovery. He found that previous gravity models assumed uniform thickness of the Earth's crust. But this turned out to be incorrect. The anomaly was caused by a large hanging flap of Atlantic lithosphere. This is a huge piece of the Earth's crust that literally hangs into the mantle. Imagine a giant piece of rock slab the size of a small country that got stuck in the process of subducting under another plate. It is this that creates this incredible gravitational anomaly and indicates the presence of an actively downward force. And now here's the most alarming part. In the 20th century alone, several very large earthquakes occurred north of Puerto Rico. In 1918, the magnitude reached 7.3. In 1943, it was already 7.8. In 1946, an earthquake with a magnitude of 8.0 occurred, and between 46 and 53, 4 major aftershocks occurred, with magnitudes ranging from 7 to 7.5. The western, southern, and southwestern coasts of the island are also associated with major tectonic formations and may pose additional danger. Scientists constantly remind us that what happened once will definitely happen again. Now specialists are talking about an approaching megaquake. The Puerto Rican Trench holds the potential for an earthquake of magnitude 8 or higher at the subduction boundary. This event could rupture a long, silent fault. The absence of such a rupture for more than 200 years means that stress is accumulating. It may be approaching a critical point. Recent underground tremors in the region are just pale echoes of what could happen if this stress finds an outlet in the form of a massive rupture. The damage from such an event would be multifaceted. The strongest ground, shaking in Puerto Rico and on nearby islands, would lead to widespread collapse of buildings. It would lead to serious destruction of all infrastructure. But perhaps the most dangerous thing is the tsunami. Past events show how quickly a killer wave can arise. The 1918 earthquake triggered a tsunami that crashed onto the western coast of Puerto Rico. This remains one of the deadliest seismic events in the entire recorded history of the island. A modern major earthquake could trigger waves capable of destroying coastal areas in a matter of minutes, even without warning. The high population density in cities and on the coast of Puerto Rico, including the capital San Juan and nearby cities, would multiply the damage many times over. And here begins an even more alarming part of the story. Some experts draw parallels between the Puerto Rican Trench and the Sumatra subduction zone. The Sumatra zone caused the catastrophic tsunami in the Indian Ocean in 2004. The similarity between these two regions has aroused serious interest among scientists studying tsunami hazards. Scientists believe that the location of earthquake epicenters at the boundary of tectonic plates in the Puerto Rican Trench area could provoke catastrophic consequences for the eastern coast of North America. And now, about what makes the situation even more unpredictable. The Puerto Rican Trench differs from most other oceanic trenches in one strange feature. In the Pacific Ocean, deep trenches are usually located in places where one tectonic plate cleanly subducts under another. But the Puerto Rican Trench is located at the boundary between two plates that mainly slide past each other, and only a small component of the movement goes to subduction. Paradoxically, the trench is less deep where the subduction component is greater. The unusually deep seafloor is not limited only to the trench. It also extends further south toward Puerto Rico. Geologists are trying to understand why this happens. This mystery has still not been solved. Another alarming detail is the thick limestone platform. This platform was originally deposited in flat layers near sea level. Now it is tilted northward at a constant angle. Its northern edge is at a depth of more than 4 kilometers. Its southern edge is located on the land of Puerto Rico at an elevation of several hundred meters. This means that some powerful forces have lifted and tilted entire mountain ranges. Scientists have proposed many models to explain this tectonically active region, but none of them has received full recognition from the scientific community. The region remains poorly studied, mainly because its underwater location makes detailed research extremely difficult. Nevertheless, scientists have managed to find out something. The Puerto Rican Trench is only part of a large and very alarming picture. The entire Caribbean region represents a zone of increased seismic hazard. The boundary between the Caribbean and North American plates runs not only through Puerto Rico, it also runs through Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and Cuba. In 2010, a devastating earthquake with a magnitude of 7 occurred in Haiti. Hundreds of thousands of people died then. The capital was practically wiped off the face of the earth. But what should really alarm us is this. That earthquake did not occur on the main fault, but on a secondary structure. The main fault that runs through the southern part of Haiti did not even move then. The last major earthquake on it occurred more than 200 years ago. Simple mathematics shows that more than a meter of potential displacement has already accumulated. When this fault breaks, the consequences will be much more terrible than in 2010. And then there is Jamaica. The island is located on a restraining bend between two major faults. Fault formation on the island occurs on left lateral faults and thrust faults. Remember those beautiful white sand beaches from the Dominican Republic that are so brightly shown to us in advertisements? Few people know this, but the Dominican Republic is also not safe. Several active fault systems run through its territory. But let's return to the most alarming thing, the possibility of a catastrophic tsunami. In 2018, at the annual meeting of seismologists, a warning was sounded. An event similar to the 2004 tsunami in the Indian Ocean could occur in the Caribbean basin as well. Scientists have observed tsunamis here and in adjacent seas since the 15th century. In 1755, the Great Lisbon earthquake off the coast of Portugal triggered a tsunami. This tsunami crossed the Atlantic and reached the Caribbean islands. The waves were so high that they reached the upper floors of houses on the coast. Previously, scientists believed that an earthquake with a magnitude up to 8 would be the strongest in the Caribbean basin. But after the 2004 catastrophe in the Indian Ocean, views changed. Now, some believe that several faults in the region could trigger an earthquake, with a magnitude up to 8.5 or even 9. Can an earthquake here trigger a tsunami and hit the United States? In fact, the Puerto Rican Trench is capable of striking not only the Caribbean region, but also the United States itself. And this is not theory. This is a real threat, calculated by specialists. The southeastern states would be hit first. Florida, Georgia, South Carolina would take the first wave. Miami would be in a zone of special risk. The city is located only a few meters above sea level. The skyscrapers along Miami Beach, luxury hotels, and residential neighborhoods could end up underwater. Key West is virtually defenseless. Jacksonville is vulnerable because of the river. The river would become a channel for the tsunami, directing water deep into the continent. In 3 to 4 hours, the wave would reach North Carolina and Virginia. Here, the coincidence with strong storms or high tides is especially dangerous. In 5 to 6 hours, the wave would reach New York. Even a couple of meters would be enough for catastrophe. Lower Manhattan, including the financial district, the heart of the world economy, could be flooded. The subway would turn into a system of underwater channels. Despite all these dangers, targeted research on many faults is practically not being conducted. The faults around the cities of Guatemala, in Honduras, and San Jose in Costa Rica represent areas of active fault formation in densely populated regions. But information about them is critically scarce. Scientists speak directly. Additional observation of the seafloor and sampling are necessary to assess the future risk of earthquakes. Right now, the region is sitting on a powder keg. Energy is accumulating slowly but constantly. Recent data show that this moment may come much sooner than was assumed. That's all. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe to this channel. We really need your support.